Canyon Sender race prep time. First job, stick the NSR damper in the fork and give it a check over. Not much oil in the right hand leg compared to the left hand leg from the factory, but we'll let that go. NSR damper, this is almost a money can't buy product. If you can get one from him, he sells them for €500, which is probably too cheap. Yeah, cool product. Excited to try it again on the big bike. And yeah, some very special grease that I can't name, which is for the seals. Fork rebuild done. I forgot to turn the camera on for most of it, like an idiot. This time, torque wrench, because I don't want the same problem as I had before, when I obviously over-tightened it like a twat and got it stuck in the bottom of the fork. But that's what happens when you're working out of a camper van with hardly any tools. Most likely my fault. It could have got jammed or seized. Otherwise, there's no way I'm ever going to try and say I'm a good mechanic. I'm a crap mechanic. I'm doing my best. 7.3 Newton meters. Just checked on the RockShox website. It does have a very handy service guide which tells you everything you need to know. Air spring bolt was not torquing up, it's just rotating. I'm not a suspension expert. I'm gonna ask Nigel. Probably done something wrong. First job done. Fork is sorted, ready to be reinstalled in the short offset position. Like I said in the previous videos, I spoke to some experts and we got 50-50 consensus. If it doesn't work, I can easily flip it back the other way. Ideally, I would get a 0 offset instead of the 10mm offset crown to give me a 48mm and work step by step lower, but can't find one, don't have one. So, like this whole project, working with what we've got. Next job, I'm going to sort out the chain guide. One thing to do here is when you take the shock out, undo this bolt here first. It does actually clamp quite tight onto the lower eyelet. Uncle Nigel said this needs to stay in the same place, that's correct, but this bit needs to move forward, which means rotate the whole thing. You can move this down 2 bolts and then rotate the whole guide forwards and hopefully stop this connection. 9mm. Perfect. Pop the shock out, measure 75mm stroke approximately. What is good is that when the frame's completely extended, it's exactly the length of the shock. When you take the shock out or put the shock in, it doesn't drop away, which does make it easier to install and remove the shock, although I'm not making it look easy at the moment. Absolutely miles away from it. Now it fits into this recess on the frame. Yeah, basically I have engineered the frame perfectly around the chain guide. That just wasn't in the right place. So I've already lost the 4 O-rings and I have chipped the paint. Must have been when I took the shock out of the bike and resting it down on itself next to the van, not in the bike stand. It's just real world life. You don't always have time to get the bike stand out when you're trying to go bike riding. If you had a full-time World Cup mechanic, it would be fantastic. So I've lost these 4 O-rings, but there's still quite a lot of sort of tension. It might just be the cables moving. I'm pretty sure it's the linkage, but I'm not sure if I want to get involved in this. I've got a lot of stuff to do. Right, I'm going to open a couple of them, see what happens. Okay. I've got the feeling I'm going down a rabbit hole that I should not be going down at this point in my day and life. There's no O-ring on that side, on that pivot. I assume it's the same on both sides, so that's not the problem. I must remember to torque all these later. There's some movement on the gear cable. Hopefully it won't cause any problems cutting through the frame. You can see there's a bit of wear on that cable already. Can't wait to get a mechanic or a filmer. Crack one of these off. You can't just crack one off, you have to crack both off. I've never taken apart this frame before. It's all new to me. So they're nice. That one is not nice. That one is nice. That one is not nice. It's good. It's hard to say. It might just be the cable. If you don't have some, buy some picks. These are particularly posh ones from Mac Tools. You can buy some dental picks. Amazon for like $5 for a set. These are like 20 something, but they'll make your life a lot easier. Okay, I might have found one possible culprit. So this one has got an O-ring too. And that's really hard to turn, but if we pop it out, I don't know if you can see that's got an O-ring on. The bearing's fine. The bearings on both sides are fine. Both sides causing some friction. As I'm going to a race, getting it race prepped and putting all this effort into it, at this point I might as well just remove those completely. I do have a guy coming next week to do a mechanic test interview, so I can just make him put them all back in for free. Well, I might pay him something. Canyon have sent out a O-ring kit under warranty. And as this is pretty clean and greased, I'm just going to remove these, ride it and do practice on it. Night before the race, give it a quick clean out and re-grease. Definitely clean enough for practice. So this one's good. Heading down a rabbit hole that I did not want to be heading down. It's already a lot looser. There's a bit of grip build up on here. 2 bearings in there, and I'm going to guess these have also got O-rings in. So this one was actually broken already. Maybe that was causing it. 6 of the O-rings that were possibly causing some trouble are out. So it's white on this side, black on this side. I think that's mashed up O-ring. So my guess, I'm not an engineer or a good mechanic, this grease is super sticky, which is going to be good for keeping water out, but it's going to increase friction on the seals, and that's why the other O-rings came out. I think that might have solved all the problems. I'm not too worried about doing it perfectly because it's so easy to take apart. It's really good, really easy to do. If you know what you're doing, you can do. Well, it's not going to take long. Well, these two are super free before they had the mudguard on. Although I did loosen this one for removing the shocks. Now it's come back. So that one was, so I had undone this one to remove the shock, but there's a bit more friction in there, so there's no way I'm going to get dinner tonight. So. Same again, I think there's a bit of O-ring left, and I'm pretty sure they were both on the same side, the broken O-rings. On this one they all came out, but just 2 on one side. I've had an influx of horseflies recently. There we go, that's super loose. I'm impressed here. I haven't stripped down the back end of many modern downhill bikes, but this is super easy, even for a bad mechanic. You need to get both sides all lined up before you basically done a full rear end rebuild in a few minutes. That might even be the easiest bike to take apart ever. Now, obviously the reason for the O-rings is to keep dirt out and increase service life. I imagine none of the racers on these bikes have those O-rings in. I think for a consumer, the amount of performance difference you will get from having the O-rings in, not going to make much difference. That's better. Yeah. Lost my headset cut. At the start of this process, it was going down super slow, but I think that is hard to argue with. That's way better. While we've gone this far, I might as well check the horse link. So easy to do. It actually makes me feel like a good mechanic for maybe the first time in my life. No hammering, no tools, no pressing. More O-rings here. Good condition, good condition, good condition. Perfect. But as we've got this far, they're all going as well. Again, I'm not an expert mechanic or engineer. That's really easy to do. It makes me feel like a hero in the mechanic world. I think the conclusion to the O-rings coming out is just the grease is too thick, and it must be, if it's too thick, it's not going to slide properly, it's going to bunch up and then start to get destroyed. The problem is not enough grease, the problem is the grease is too thick, but I assume the grease is thick to prevent water ingress. I'll check all the torques at the end of the build. Yeah, I think you can't argue with that. Yeah, there's a bit of friction from the cables, but I don't think there's any way to stop that, apart from in a gearbox, which would solve some other issues. So I'm happy with that. That has saved me doing a strip down, tear down later on. And while I'm here, I'm just going to take this mudguard off, because I don't like the look or the idea of sliding off the back of the bike, blowing my feet off, which is quite likely with my current level of riding skills. And this area going between the tyre, which is about here, and this pointy blade thing doesn't look the most friendly contraption. Obviously that's going to put more dirt onto my shock, but I prefer to have dirt on my shock than no. Phyllis. Bellissimo. So this is interesting, the Katsuma. First piece of hardware, good. Second one, tiny bit looser. But the rear eyelet, quite tight with this one. Really tight. That bushing is definitely slightly smaller than that one, or something's different. So I'm actually going to swap that one for that one, because that's the lower eyelet bushing where there's quite a lot of rotation on the shock link. So even though it might feel a bit loose, if the looser one is at the bottom, Rocker Link MX Link trademark is going to have less friction, which is the dream we're looking for. That went in too easy. This is actually a pretty cool little box with tool that I got from Trick Stuff. I think they gave it to me at a trade show when I worked for Pink Bike. Cool guys, I like the guys at Trick Stuff doing some cool stuff. It's a little bit of a faff with all the 3 different bolts. If you want it to make it lightweight, you can just put that in your toolbox and you've got everything you need to swap your DU bushes. So that's good. Now I've swapped the bushes around. Wow, it's the lower one that's still tight and the upper one that's still loose. So what does that mean? Well, I definitely didn't put them in the wrong way, because I cleverly, not like I would normally do, didn't flip the shock around and I put that bush in there, kept the shock the same way, put that bush in there and then that one in there. So this eyelet must be slightly smaller than the front one. We're not going to get the friction-free dream we were hoping of. That's interesting. I can only imagine it's something to do with that hole. There's no hole there. Hole there. Not sure. So bushing sorted. Oh no. Don't tell me this isn't going to fit. Absolutely massive. It's not. Oh my god. It's not going to fit. Why? Mountain bikes. Why? Actually just the air valve. Hopefully I can twist that around. If this doesn't fit, I'm going to cry. If it doesn't fit, I'm definitely going to give up going into this massive rabbit hole and go for dinner. Wow. Oh, I need a vice. Control yourself. There's wall cameras. It's basically what my whole life's like on a day-to-day basis. Just these kind of problems. No! I wish I had a vice. Ow! I had a vice and I sold it. It moved, but the wrong way. Stand on it. Done it. Fucking gone and done it. Oh no. Starting to think this is not going to fit at all. Right, I've managed to do it, but I think the limit between this being too far this way and being too far that way and hitting the... Oh god, hitting the piggyback. I'm 100% going to the pub after this. So tight. My anxiety level has gone from being calm to being through the roof. Oh my god, it's going to be impossible to pump up the shock as well. Oh no, it hits. Oh my god, that's so close. Oh my god, it actually works. Woo. So close on every possible angle. I'm not sure if you can see this, but it actually works. I was going to start throwing things down. Right, it's definitely home time. Home time, I'm at home. It's definitely time to go and get some dinner. Continue this job in the morning, but chain vice is sorted, back end's friction free, new shock is in, cartridge is in the fork. Oh my, it's so close in there. I'm not sure if I'll be able to reach the air valve, but I can easily reach the clickers. The clickers. Right, done. Right, we're back in the game after yesterday's faff. The shock's in, I can actually connect the air pump to it, so that's good. Next thing, I'm going to get the fork back on, the dampers inside the fork, but I'm going to thread the steer tube to put in the EDC tool, so that's the first job for today. Nothing's as simple as you think it's going to be, is it? It's got the star nut in there, which I need to knock out. So I've either got to knock it all the way through with the only drift I've got long enough, but I'm actually going to try and knock it up and see what happens. Probably not going to work, but let's see. Got this sweet bit of wood that I found in the garden. Hashtag bike farm paying dividends. Nope. So it's got to go down. is out. There's a lot of metal shards and it's not pretty in there. I did try and see if I could get my Dremel in there to cut it and just bring it out, but don't have any tools, any useful tools really that would work, so smash it. Still don't have a vise or anywhere to attach a vise. I did have a beautiful workbench last year from Junior with a great vise. We're working on the floor for the time being. 1/2 turn forward, 1/4 turn back. That's the way we like to tap. Bit of a lubrication on it to help with the screwing. And my trusty Beta wrench fits perfectly in the hole on the top. So we've got the piece of wood again. Hopefully, oh god, it's a bit wobbly. Can't wait to have tools. Problem is, the more and harder you screw it, the tighter it gets. I'm not sure if that was exactly a 1/4. Got a sweat on. So yeah, it's a pretty easy job really. If you had a vise, it'd be really easy. Just screw it until your tool bottoms out on the black thing, and then it's done. What is the point of horseflies? Beautiful. I'm not sure if you can see that, but perfectly tapped. Good job. Clean it up and then put the crowns back on, backwards. Fork crowns back in. Everything's greased already. Cleverly put everything ready next to me so I can install it easily. Shit's getting serious, man. And we're going backwards. So, backwards. Top cap, crown. Reach just cups in the longer setting. I had it in the middle, normal setting before. You should not need to tighten this up much, just a little. Well, I'll double check that when the bike's installed. Got the lower thing. Obviously that's designed for tapered steerer, not a 1/1/8 steerer. And I have my fork plug with a saucisson. Funny, in Europe, people in different countries all call these sausages in their own language. So we've got saucisson, salsiccia in Italy, de Bratwurst in German, which suits this bike. And they greased the O-ring, which tells you to do in the instructions to help get your tool in and out. Hopefully it doesn't fly out. If somebody wants one of these tools for free, there's one on the side of the trail in Finale somewhere. Once it flew out and hit me in the chest and I didn't know what it was. And I've just felt sticking out the bottom. Mountain bikes are just always something, isn't there? Every time. Right, I'm going to have to not put this in. The struggle is real. Now I also pimped out the fork. I took off the red O-ring and I put 2 black O-rings to be super stealth, because I want to check if each side, if the fork's going up and down straight, because one thing that causes bushing wear and stitching is this is a spring, this is a damper, this is a spring, which have different amounts of force going through them, or absorbing and returning different amounts of force. Every time the fork's going up and down, it's actually trying to turn like this as the different forces are changing between each leg. This is why in a perfect world, like motorbikes, if you weren't trying to make it as light as possible, you would have a damper and spring in each leg, but that'd be too heavy to go mountain biking with, because it's impossible to ride a heavy bike. But yeah, the struggle's real today. These journos working for mountain bike publications they've got internet, they don't have to spend 9 hours uploading a video overnight from the 3G hotspot. 3G, not 4G. Have a vice, they have a workshop, somewhere to wash actually I do have somewhere to wash the bikes. They drive around in the posh Transporter T6. I'm literally living in a camper van that cost less than a Specialized Turbo Canevo SL, 14 grand, and in a house that costs less than 3 of them. There's no office, nothing. We have got some struggle on our hands, but the end result is going to be worth it, I'm sure. Fucking better be. So I'm not going to tighten those up yet. I want to check the travel on the bike. Steering lock is very low. That's definitely reduced the steering lock massively, partly because it's moved the stanchions back, but also this head tube with these bumpers is super wide. This offset idea might be cancelled already. Not sure yet, we'll see. I did actually test the outsider bikes, crowns on Saracen years ago for Pink Bike, and I did reduce it to 30mm offset with the Fox 40, and I did actually hit the bump stops in 3 corners on the first ride, which was terrifying. And then I stopped doing that stupid test, and my power's all just shut off for some reason. Fan and computer off. My power's back on now. Don't know what happened. No. It's never ending. So the stem is actually hitting the steerer crown, steerer tube, so the bolts won't reach the holes in the crown. Now I could cut the steerer and re-thread the thing. So yeah, I need to cut the steerer tube down shorter and re-thread the thing, and then take it all apart, put it all back together. I'm back on the log like David Goggins. Basically removed all the threads. I hope some of it will be left so I could not have to re-thread it all again, but there's like 2 threads left. Back to where we were before, now to see if the stem fits. First time ever actually cut the steerer tube, absolutely perfect length. Things on the up, that looks good. That looks really good. Absolutely roasting now. Well, these are the bloody journalists in the air-conditioned offices, although in shit locations like London. How do you test bikes if you live in London, Alan? We're in. We are back in business. It's all coming together. So behind schedule though. I've been in this garage now for 6 days, I think. Every day, all day, filming, editing. Oh no. There's always one more, isn't there? The EDC tool is not going to come out of there. The handlebar's in the way. Now some people are going to ask, why does this guy do so much more stupid stuff than the other media who just test stuff normally? And that's because they don't like faffing around and not idiots like me. A big waste of time. So it would come out with a 50mm stem, but I want my 30mm stem. I'll have to have a think about that. Now the tubeless valve area is the best or worst weak point for tubeless sealing in my experience, especially if it's been taped and then it's had inner tubes put in to ship. Then we're going to get some rubber tape, peel back the adhesive like a band-aid so you don't get your grubby fingers on it. Stick that in. You don't want it to interfere in the rim bed, although that is a bit wide. But this is actually the 5th time I've filmed this, so I'm not going to do it again. Get your pick, make the smallest hole you can, and then put your tubeless valve in, and then you'll get a really good seal. I've never had a failure doing it this way. I'm going to say it works 99 times out of 10, 99% of the time, although 99 times out of 10 it's pretty good odds. Then tighten your valve up, job's a good one, that's going to be a perfect seal, and even if the tape does come off, it's still clamped down by the O-ring, so she'll be sweet. If you're going to use Michelin tyres, I hope you've got strong hands and good tyre levers. Pretty tough to get on. Not super bad, but definitely harder than a Maxxis downhill casing tyre. Pumps up to 11 bar, pop it, see what happens. Brand new tyre, used wheel for a couple of days. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Oh yes, we're in. Check your tubeless is seated all the way around. This short line here should be the same all the way around, and you can see here it's not, but it's coming, there we go. So once this line's equal all the way around, you're in, you're seated. I didn't put any tubeless sealant in because my other tip I think is worth doing is to inflate your tubeless system without tubeless sealant to start with, because the amount of times you have a problem like I was saying before with the valve, or maybe the rim tape's broken, can't get it to seat. If you don't have a compressor or a pump like this, you might struggle to get it seated. Try it first without any tubeless sealant, and that can save you a lot of mess and wasted sealant. And it's also good, I think, to leave it overnight to check if the system's well sealed. And these tyres feel absolutely great, super soft, super sticky rubber, slow rebound, casing feels super hard. I'm very excited to try these. Maybe at last we've got a tyre as grippy as the Comp 16, which we had 20 something years ago. Hopefully they'll roll faster than the Comp 16 though. As the first one worked so well, pump this up without using the air can, pressurised air can. Oh, that is super easy. Don't even need to go fast, it's going straight up. 2 bar, 30 psi. Seals, just need a bit more pressure to get this bead to pop. Perfect, perfect. Surprisingly easy. So, while we're here with the wheels off, got the 220 disc on the rear and 200 on the front, which is contrary to popular belief. You normally have the bigger disc on the front. You have the bigger disc on the front for more power. I'm not really missing power so much as heat management, so a bigger disc on the rear, which is dragged a lot more, especially by me in corners. I don't particularly want it more powerful or sharp on the back, I just want it to not overheat. I'm told, I haven't double checked this, but from a reliable source, 220mm rotor on a 29-inch wheel has the exact same or very similar mechanical advantage to a 200 on 27.5 wheel. So really, if we wanted to keep all things equal and people's brake power the same, regardless of wheel size choice, 220 should be the standard on 29, 200 should be the standard on 27, and then you would get, in theory, the equal amount of brake power either wheel size. Another tip, which never actually works, depending on which side your sponsor's logo is, if you want to pretend you're a professional, you line up the tubeless valve with the logo. Normally people line it up at the top, but because there's a bit more weight in the valve, if you line it up at the bottom so your logo is readable from the top, when it's in the bike stand and the photographers are walking past, it'll roll to the bottom, and then you'll be advertising your sponsors even better, which I don't have any sponsors, I paid for this myself. But it doesn't actually work, but it's nice to think it does. Got the box halfway re-inflated, 90 psi. They feel really good now after that rebuild. Buttery. Back to the original manufacturer's recommendation of 120. I've got more support from the damper. I can run more sag than I had before, hopefully. So I was up to about 150. Oh, that felt really good. Oh. Now we're talking. They're super buttery off the top. They're so good off the top. And you can instantly feel I need some air in the shock, but you can instantly feel the force building. That is a big improvement, I'm happy with that. I'm getting excited, finally. I'm getting excited about the Sender, properly excited. Double O-rings. Steering, super light. It feels great, but steering lock is very little. I think this is not going to work out. It's a bit frustrating, but what feels great though, so. Is that enough steering lock? It's not going to hold me back from my whips, because I'm pretty sure I can't whip past there anyway, so that won't be an issue. You shouldn't have to steer more than that, but it's just if it goes wrong. These Michelins look great. They do look quite square. I'm not really a fan of more square tyres in general for the riding I do around here in the conditions, but hopefully square with soft rubber on the edge should be good. If you've got square with hard rubber and you lean over on hard pack stuff, it'll kick out more unexpectedly. 25mm rim or 26 might roll it out of it, round it out of it. A little bit square, we'll see. Fork. Oof. Another tip, don't bounce too hard on your suspension when your shock pump's attached, because you inflate the negative, or to transfer the air between the positive and negative. Don't bang it down too hard or you can damage the spring. That's a tip from Jeremiah Bubar, who used to work at Rock Shocks and now Cannondale GT. 160 psi. I've got no idea what I should be running in this. No recommendations for this shock on this bike. Just get to the air valve. 18. Oh god, what's 30% of 75? 22.5. 23, 22.5. Obviously I'm sitting down, don't have my kit on, but just getting in the ballpark because I've got to go and do some shopping, water the garden, start editing this video. Oof. That's hard. I just put in Dave's roughly recommended settings. Feels a bit similar to the Rock Shocks, man, to the mid-stroke. Anyway, that's it for today. One last thing, I can't believe I'm going to do this. I'm starting to like the bike, so I'm just giving it the bit of care and love it needs, and those little scratches are sorted, nice and like new. Yeah. I had a little idea here to fix the spare derailleur hanger to the bike. So I'm going to drill a hole through this, not go into the worktop. On it there. Pick again. You can use these picks for so many things. Decided to get wood before I mess anything up. I'll drill the hole close to the size as the bolt I've got. Needs a bigger hole. I wanted to make it the smallest hole possible to prevent it from possibly rattling. It's a good idea to have a spare hanger with you, just so if you do snap it, you can keep riding. You have your EDC tool on the stem, if it would have fitted. And then if you snap your hanger on the first corner, 5 minutes, you can sort it out. It's nice and solid. I pre-cut some tape. Hopefully this works. What I should do is try these things before I start videoing. It's not ideal. And cut the corners off the tape to stop them peeling off. And the reason for the tape is stop mud and water getting in there. I've never tried this before. You've just watched me do it for the first time. Might actually put a bit of extra tape on the side there to clean it up. I sort of got this idea from, I think it was a Solid bike years ago. And in their linkage, they machined out a hole exactly the same size as their hanger, and then fitted perfectly flush the hanger into the link. There was always a hanger attached to the bike. Pretty sure it was a Solid bike, but if anyone can remember, bang it in the comments down below. And this is a 3mm bolt, and both of the bolts for this bash guard are also 3mm. Perfect. And I'll put it right on the bottom of the frame for better weight management. Yeah, I'm going to put some more tape on there. Right, happy with that. As long as no rocks fly up and destroy it, we're all good. Next job, going to fit the mudguard. Why? When it's dry. I think it's a good idea to use a mudguard anyway on the fork, just to keep your seals clean and improve your service intervals. Plus, if it does start raining when you're out, if you're riding stuff in the Alps, there's often streams and bogs to go through, so you might as well have a guard on, even if it's dry. I've got to modify this to get these nice Velcro straps that I found somewhere. I think it was at the Chinese shop, I can't remember. So instead of using a zip tie, look at the colour coordination to go with the boxer. Shit's getting extreme, man. I've got wood again, and hopefully it's going to sit on there. Oh, not bad. So I can drill it. I've already checked which holes I want to drill. Wish I was a good mechanic. Hopefully they're wise enough to put these guys through. Oh, bit tight, but we'll go with that. Oh no, it says rear. Well, it did seem to fit perfectly on the front. And it's a lot smaller than the other ones I have, so we'll go for it. This one's even like a little heart. How cute is that? Right, now I've put all the strap-ons. So marsh guard pro tip. Pro guard, but marsh guard's tip. If you're using zip ties, put it through this way instead of the other way, which most people would do. And one of the reasons I'm using Velcro is it's a lot softer than... it's the wrong way, isn't it? Okay, so that wasn't as easy as I expected, but the soft Velcro side is against the fork, so it won't scratch it. That's one reason to use Velcro. Two is because it's reusable. Oh, itchy nose. Talking of itchy noses, now people lose the plot when they see a turtle with a drinking straw stuck in his nose, but I reckon there's way more sheep in farmers' fields in Wales with zip ties stuck in the nose from years of mountain bike racing and racers dropping their zip ties. Someone should do a survey on how many turtles have straws in the nose and how many sheep have zip ties stuck in the nose, because I reckon there's more sheep. It's pretty good, but I do need one more, which is going to have to be a different colour. I know I should have bought 2 packets of these. I reckon the colour coordination here and here is worth at least half a second a minute. But now we're going to have to use white. Oh, white! Matches the frame, perfect. Absolutely killing it on this build. Colour coordination does make you faster. It's getting less and less pretty the more it goes along. Would have been so much easier with zip ties. It's done, it's solid, it's not anywhere near as good as I hoped it would look. In fact, it looks really bad. We're going to run it. Might take it off. But that would mean that's a complete waste of 30 minutes of my life. How can a drill not even cut through plastic? What the... Perfect example of my life at the moment. That's better. What was wrong with that one? Unfortunately, my hole cutter doesn't fit in this drill, so I'm just going to make an ugly cutout, try and clean it up with a knife. Hopefully this looks better than the mudguard solution. So the clever idea behind this marsh guard number board is you cut it once to shape for your bike for the whole season. It comes with self-adhesive pads, cut around the same shape, and if you cut it all in one go, it's sorted for the season. And you stick it on the back of your race plate when you get it, cut around the race plate, and then it will just stick straight on every time, perfect. And that's to get it around the cables. If you're a super pro, you would take the hoses out and thread it through, but that's not happening today. Also modified the holes on the marsh guard board to fit the Velcro through. Unfortunately, I've only got blue and yellow Velcro left. Hopefully I can go and find where I bought it from, or otherwise I've got to desperately find something where the colour matches so it looks like it was deliberate. And I know it's backwards because the self-adhesive is on the other side, but it looks cuter this way until I get the number board. Oh, can't believe it. I'm going to say that's almost perfect. And the guard's barely touching the head tube. It's touching a little bit. Might put a bit of rubber on there. Happy with that. Chop these off and we're done. Of course, I chose the blue and yellow to match the logos on the Michelin tyres. Not stupid, am I? So I just knocked the bike over and remembered one of the things I wanted to do. These grips don't have any sort of end caps, so you just push on rubber grips. So 20-cent coin in the end of the grip, which will protect the grip and the end of the bar. I only got one 20-cent, but I've also got a 1 franc from Switzerland. Hopefully they're the same weight so we don't get an imbalance from left to right when we ride in. But they were almost exactly the same size, so that should work. A whole Swiss franc though, that's a big investment. The Sender is looking absolutely sick, I can't believe it. I might be starting to love it. All the details sorted from the blue and yellow Velcro, deliberately matching the Michelin logos. It looks absolutely sick. The rattle's still there. I've got an idea for that. Again, just ran out of time. I think I'm going to go to Savona and spend even more money because Rulesman's just had the delivery of Kitsuma coils. So I'm going to go there armed with my credit card and pick that up and then head to Pralu to go and lose a race terribly. But yeah, it's looking sick. I'm really happy with it. Some chain needs a bit of oil. Looks sick, everything looks sick. I need to find some brake pads as well, but it's ready to go. Only concern really is the steering lock, but we'll see how that goes. Absolutely amazing. Next video is going to be ride report on how badly I messed this thing up. So like, follow, subscribe, all that stuff. Go and buy me a coffee or donate through Linktree if you like what I'm doing. Some absolute legend called John dropped €200 on coffee this week. That's really helped me out, that's great. And a bunch of other legends as well have been €3, €5, €10. So I've actually had about $300 income this week, which is good. Yeah, see you next time. Great.